Last time on a grown man complaining about kids' movies, I went over the Plankton movie trailer, and to summarize it, I didn't have a lot of faith for the movie. Well, the movie's out now, and of course, I had to commit and watch the movie. You don't just make a channel with Patrick Star as the face of it and ignore any SpongeBob related releases. So, on a Friday night, I sat down with a choice either watch the finale of Attack on Titan or watch and analyze the Plankton movie. I decided to watch both, destroying my sleep schedule, and being dead ass. I think I have more positives to say about the Plankton movie. The Plankton movie genuinely surprised me. When I was expecting more overbloated, celebrity filled, unfunny crap like the last two movies, we got a pretty simple movie. One main plot, no B plot, and no sidetracking. Sure, the stakes are high, the world's in danger, yada yada, Bikini Bottom's destroyed, yada yada, but that's like every movie at this point. The movie can be simplified to this. Plankton has broken the last straw with Karen, causing her to go crazy and take over the world. Now it's up to Plankton and SpongeBob
Hi, how are you?
to then go to various places that are connected to Plankton's and Karen's past, while SpongeBob tries to figure out where the relationship went wrong. Afterwards, Plankton, SpongeBob, Sandy, Pearl, Mrs. Puff, and Patrick go to Karen's base to stop her from invading the world. If anything, it's way too simple to fill out an hour and a half movie. The whole middle part is slow, as it's just Plankton trying to build a new Karen, only for it to combine with the old Karen. So basically, there was no point to it. It's like 30 minutes, and a lot of stuff could have been cut, especially the part that retconned Plankton and Krabs' backstory. Now, I already complained about SpongeBob retconning previously established stuff, and I get that SpongeBob does this all the time, but this is like a huge piece of lore they just got rid of. Saying that Plankton and Eugene never knew each other until way until adulthood completely downplays their rivalry as a whole that was so well established originally. Besides that, the only important parts in this section are the flashbacks that make up 5 to 10 minutes of the whole part. Like I said, this whole section could have been easily cut down to 15 minutes. However, after two straight movies of having the exact opposite problem, where everything was moving way too fast and there was too much going on, I don't mind this slow pacing at all. I'll take it. It beats anything the Sandy Cheeks movie was trying to do. Of course, something that was taken from the last two movies was the animation, and yeah, it's still bad. Honestly, it's probably the worst animation out of all the movies. Some of the fish just gave off uncanny valley vibes, and that background is still just an endless void, especially when all the buildings get taken off. It's just blank. What I did appreciate was the various animation style changes throughout the movie. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember any other SpongeBob movies doing this many animation switch ups. The first one reminded me of how old Western cartoons depicted anime. The second one is your black and white style, and the last style, the scene in general was genuinely amazing. It was like some acid drug trip combined with the love tunnel ride you see in carnivals. These were all highlights of the movie for me. I was surprised when I realized that this was a musical when I really shouldn't have. None of them were full on standouts. They ranged from forgettable to aight, but they all have their place in their respective scenes. I just want to talk about that Karen song real quick. Although I didn't find it spectacular, I couldn't get the song out of my head the next day. It just had all the elements to make it an earworm song. So that was probably my favorite song out of the whole movie. Although I noted the simple story from the trailer, I had concerns about how big the cast looked. First off, I correctly predicted the Gals Pals involvement in the movie. In reality, though, them and Patrick don't show up until the last 30 minutes of the movie, and Pearl, Mrs. Puff, and Sandy get kicked out after like 10 minutes of screen time. If anything, I'd say Mr. Krabs got as much screen time as any of them. The other Karen-like antagonists, the smart, evil, and snarky Karen, also don't overbloat the movie as I thought they would, because they're a single unit for most of the movie until they break up to fight the Gal Pals, and then they die like 5 seconds later. So the large cast of this movie didn't actually hurt the movie as I thought it would. Although it would have been nice to see some people who don't get as much screen time in these movies, like Pearl and Mrs. Puff, get more screen time and not just like 10 minutes, especially when the amount of screen time SpongeBob gets. Like I said before, the majority of the adventure is just Plankton and SpongeBob. In fact, SpongeBob shows up the second the movie starts. When he's not being a poor comic relief character, he's doing this like therapist persona, which I'm convinced was only ran in so Tom Kenny could get a voice break. I don't mind that aspect actually, as it usually led to more focus on Plankton and less on SpongeBob. However, Plankton's character for the majority of this movie was just not it. The whole first half sees Plankton trying to make a replica wife, and when that doesn't work, he needs the others and an emotional chip to make him realize that he needed to apologize to Karen. Some advice to my viewers, from a professional. If your partner needs to be talked to by others for them to come back and apologize to you after they tried to replace you, then they're not a good partner for you. After that, Plankton kind of becomes another SpongeBob, clueless and overpositive. Still, it was a steady improvement at this point, and it's only when Plankton finally confronts Karen again when I actually start to like his character in this movie. And let me talk about this scene for a minute. It's not deep or anything, but the fact that a SpongeBob movie just had a couple of minutes of seriousness like this, it's just Karen and Plankton just talking with no breaks, no background shenanigans, and no SpongeBob. It's just Plankton having a serious conversation with Karen, trying to get Karen back. I never thought I would see a scene like this in a modern SpongeBob movie. I thought they'd be too worried about the kids and what they'd be thinking, so I thought they would just always play some classic SpongeBob brain rot every 5 seconds. So seeing this in the movie, I appreciate it. There has been a decline in quality with every new SpongeBob movie that came out. Ever since the original, there has never been a SpongeBob movie that was an improvement from its predecessor. Coming into the Plankton movie, while I believe that trend would break, I thought that would be because of how bad the Sandy Cheeks movie was over anything the Plankton movie ever did. But without a doubt, not only is this movie an improvement on anything the last two movies did, but it's also an improvement over basically all of SpongeBob over the last few years, at least. The story is simple, a lot of the movie is padded out by Plankton's side quests, but when a big issue of modern SpongeBob is how it does too much, the simpleness is actually kind of a refresher. It's surprising that Plankton, out of any character, would get the least eventful movie. I wouldn't recommend this as a movie to watch, but if you want to see some new SpongeBob material that isn't garbage, the Plankton movie is an option. I'd give this a 6 out of 10. So next time on Grown Man Reviews Movies About His Childhood. Ba, 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 ba,
I am Steve.